The following podcast is taken from a live broadcast on Inspire FM. Ya hala, ya hala, ya hala, ya hala, ya hala.
Assalamu alaikum everyone, and you're listening to Sisters Speak on Inspire 105.1 FM, and you're here with me, Faiza.
Me, Amina.
Me, Lamisa.
And me, Mariam.
And today we are discussing
mental health. Yeah.
Thank you, guys. Why are we discussing mental health?
Because today is Suicide Prevention Day.
Yes, so we thought it's very important for us to talk about this, and in order to provide worldwide commitment and action to preventing suicides as well. So yeah, before we get into that, what's our show about, Mariam?
So our show is a platform for Muslim girls to voice their own opinions on current events and issues, and even form discussions on general topics such as religion, culture, politics and social media. We want to note that all opinions and views are our own, and we respect all other opposing views. I also want to add that we might say some things that are quite distressing for people, because we will be touching upon mental health and suicide. So please do listen at your own discretion.
Yeah. Thank you for that, Mariam. So before we get into that, we do this little segment on our show every single week called The Thought for the Week. You can get involved as well. It's just something we discuss, something we want to talk about, something we want to let off our chest, whether it be a rant, just a thought, anything of the sort. How can they contact us to get involved if they want to express their thoughts and opinions?
You can text or WhatsApp us in on 07779 481822. You can also call the studio on 01582 481822, and we are on Facebook Live.
I think we are, yeah. I'm just trying to find it.
If it's working, you can comment under our Facebook Live.
Or you can text us on or message us on our Instagram page at Sisters Speak.
Yeah.
Give us a follow.
Follow us, DM us.
So first things first. Okay.
Oh my god.
Okay, anyways, thought for the week. Lamisa.
It's always me.
Because you're like right there.
Okay, my thought for the week is I met up with a friend today after I think a year, and it was just really nice. We talked about like everything that happened over the past year, and we went to a really good buffet in Luton. I won't say the name, but yeah, it's like £10 and it was drinks included and dessert included, so I literally just ate my heart out, and it was amazing. Alhamdulillah.
That must have been amazing.
It was really good, and they had a chocolate fountain, and I just went crazy. But yeah, today's been a good day. That's my thought for the week.
That's nice.
That's very nice.
But yeah, so Amina, what's your thought for the week?
Who gave you the right to pick on me?
I'm a co-host.
Okay, so my thought of the week is I don't really know.
Can I say mine?
Yeah, go on, Mari.
My God.
Okay, swiftly moving on to Mariam's
Honestly,
thought
I'm
for the
just
week.
tired.
So my thought of the week is on Suicide Prevention Day. I know, let me talk about something really positive, but I think I really want to talk about the fact that suicide is something that's quite prominent within our communities, and it's growing statistically every single day. And I think I just want to just talk about how important it is to be conscious of how you treat someone. You don't know what a person's suffering at home. They could be smiling, they could be completely normal to you, and you can perceive them to be completely normal, but they could be suffering silently. And I think it's really important that we take that onus on ourselves to always be kind, regardless of the situation. Always be kind, because you don't know, people could be on the edge of the cliff, and your one comment that might seem so trivial to you can push them off. And I think it's really important to understand that the words that you say has a massive weight to people. And I think especially, I'm not saying to be accessible to everyone, because that is also emotionally draining, but to the people that are close to you and your loved ones, I think it's really important to be conscious about their mental health and how they're emotionally receiving day-to-day lives, because end of the day they love you, you love them, and you should take that responsibility to kind of be there for them, especially if you are very close to them. I think it's really, really important, because maybe somebody's lashing out suddenly, and it's very uncharacteristic of themselves to do that. And you might think, well, why she's overthinking, she wasn't like this, etc., etc. But you need to take that step to understand, certain things could be happening to them internally, and it might not even have a clear explanation to you. There might be no explanation, but I think it's really important to have those conversations with the people that we love and the people that we care about. Just simply asking them, are you okay? And just making that safe space between each other.
That's
very well
literally
said.
ties in so well with today's topic as well, especially to do with like our words can unintentionally and intentionally hurt people,
100%.
which affects their mental health as well. So before we move on into the main topic, Amina, are you ready for your thought of the week?
I'm just going to be
Today.
honest. I really don't have one, but I'm just going to wing it. I don't know. I think I'm just going to go with like our topic of today. And, I think we all have our down days. And I think it's important that we find someone that we can confide in, someone that we can trust. I think we touched upon this on last week's show about friendship. And, it's important to have someone there to speak to. I think not everyone understands that. And some people don't really need to like let out all their... Some people can just take it on the chin and they can rationalize it in their head. But, you can't expect yourself to deal with so much by yourself. I think what people don't realize is that when you are struggling with your mental health, it really does have an impact on your physical well-being, because you actually have way too much to think about. Like you already like when you're good, like when your mental health is fine, you're just thinking about normal things. But when you're stressing a lot, when you feel down a lot, when you're really thinking, oh my God, why am I so sad, this and that, and it can, it gives you headaches. It gives you, like, you won't even notice, and you haven't eaten for days. So that's not good. So make sure you have someone to talk to. I know that every time I have, I still kind of struggle with it, but when I'm doing it more often, like having someone to talk to, it really helps. And then next thing you know, I can eat dinner again, which is surprise, surprise. It's because I had someone to talk to. I guess we'll talk about this a bit more in the main show, but yeah.
Some of the other symptoms that could be, you can have body aches, some things that you might just think it's, why am I suddenly feeling these physical symptoms? It could be as a result of your mental health. So you could have body aches, you could have, you can even have like palpitations in your chest, which you might make it difficult for you to breathe. And there's a whole host of symptoms, and I think it's really important to understand that mental health does interlink with your physical health. So you need to be able to look after both, and they're equally important. And in my opinion, I think look after your mental health I think there's a more of a way in look after the way you feel internally in terms of your thoughts, because that's how you live your day-to-day life. Your thoughts shape the way you behave. So if you look after your mental health, you are look after your body, because you're repeating positive thoughts and you're acting upon those positive thoughts. So of course that's going to reflect on your physical health.
I agree. I think my thought for the week kind of ties in with today's topic as well. And it's just to say that I hate anxiety. Hate anxiety. It's like you're perfectly fine like the whole day. Like you're just so well. And then all of a sudden, like you just feel this. I guess it's different for everyone, but this is from my own like experience. Out of nowhere, you just feel so overwhelmed, and then your whole body just like begins to kind of shake, and I don't know, you just feel so like drained and exhausted, and you just feel pressure out of nowhere. But at the same time, you're like, I was thinking, but I'm fine, like I'm okay, like nothing's wrong, like alhamdulillah, like like I have no reason to feel all of a sudden like this. But it's just crazy. It can happen to anyone, anywhere, at any time. And I don't know, I just find it such a weird concept as to why this is happening. Why does it happen? And then speaking to other people who have experienced it, and it's the same thing. It's just the why.
I feel like it's really important to seek medical advice and get referred to the GP. I'm not saying really bad advice. I'm just saying that.
No,
But even there's no harm in it to find out. If you start to lose all your hair, you wouldn't think twice to call the doctor, right?
Yeah,
you would
of
go
course.
tell the doctor because you can physically see it. So if you're feeling symptoms, or even if you just feeling sad more often, and you start crying for no reason, those are patterns that you should be kind of keeping a tab on, because they're uncharacteristic. And I think especially in the workplace, there's occupational health. In schools, they have counsellors. In universities, they have student well-being. There's services out there, and I think you need to utilise it. And I think
You shouldn't hesitate
I don't think there should
contact.
be any hesitation in doing that. And I think we need to tear down and dismantle the stigma that surrounds mental health, and the idea of talking about your feelings, talking about these feelings that overwhelm you and physically impair you. There shouldn't be any stigma towards it. I don't see there's no stigma towards a broken arm. No one says anything negative about that. But what about the people that daily are fighting the thoughts in their head? It's overwhelming
To
them.
even get out of bed
Sometimes it can
and
lead to
even leave
that.
the house. Yeah, I think it's the how, not the how, sorry. The how to get help. I think people maybe there's not enough awareness in terms of.
Do you think our society in a way doesn't encourage it? Because nowadays we've all become more, we should try and get through this by ourselves. We should try and do this on our own. That type of thing.
Self-help, the trend is self-help. But I
And
think
self-care and
self-help
stuff.
Is
Is it
part
harder
of
for
it.
people these days to open up to other people about maybe the things that they're going through, the problems? Because do you think if we had a more open society where,
It's encouraged.
it's encouraged to talk and people's problems aren't as stigmatized, then people find it easier to sort of get things off their chest instead of allowing it to build up and
No, definitely.
fester in their head, that type
I
of
agree
thing?
with that. I think it depends, really. It's half and half nowadays. Well, I feel like it's more pushing, like, let's say, for example, like 60% like self-care, self-help. You can power through it. You can get through this, motivate yourself kind of thing. But at the same time, you can't do that. Sometimes you just can't. And getting that help that is required and needed, it can be so helpful for you, you know?
I think people are scared because of reactions. Because, if I want to share my experience with someone else and I'm scared how they will react, of course I'm not going to talk to them about it. So I think it's really important that you create that safe space for people. And another thing that Lamisa has touched upon is that, because we're not as an open community as we'd like to be, and we don't create that safe space, of course people are going to silently suffer.
I think it's all communities, really. I think it's society in general.
I think society in general, and I think there's a factor between being disciplined and understanding or identifying that maybe if you know that it's not a result of mental health, or that if you change your routine a little bit and you can see positive health, maybe perhaps it's not that great of an issue for you to consider as mental health. So for example, say if you've been watching TV for 2 weeks straight and you're doing nothing else, of course that's going to negatively impact you. But if you change your routine, try to be productive, and then you see you're returning to your own self, then that's another thing. But then if you are trying to help yourself and you see that you're not progressing, then you seek other means of help.
Yeah, I agree. I think further on into our main topic, we will discuss mental health more, because this is our main topic today, everyone. So if you have just listened to us, if you're tuning in on the radio, if you're on Inspire Live, on the Facebook page, please do let us know your thoughts, views and opinions on mental health. If you have any advice from your personal experience as well, or if you want to share your personal experience as well, you're very more than welcome to. I think it's very important that it's talking about it. It's helping, it's helpful. Getting advice from each other as well is helpful on how to cope with certain things, on how to deal with certain things as well. So before we dive straight into that, our hot topic today, beautiful little segment that we have here on Sister Speak. Lemise has chosen travel.
Well,
as
I
the
just sort of
topic.
suggested it. I thought it'd be, nice to talk about it since our summer holidays are all over.
Okay, let's define what you mean by travel. She means traveling
Travel.
in the UK.
Traveling, not
You
just
say that
in
like
the
it's a
UK.
bad thing
in the UK.
Yeah,
You
there's so many places to travel in the
In
UK.
the UK.
Handing over to Amina.
Hey, Faiza, since you're hanging on it, let me enlighten you.
In the UK.
I think it's important to talk about because not everyone can afford a plane ticket.
Yeah.
Okay, fine.
Faiza. I'm joking.
What train tickets?
Plane
you can take
ticket.
the Euro thing.
Actually, you could find really cheap budget
Okay,
tickets, but
still,
during
like,
the summer
if you-
holiday, as we all know, prices like elevate massively.
if you suddenly have a free weekend and you can't, just get a last minute flight, I think there's so much to do in the UK. Like you can go to Cornwall. Cornwall is great.
Oh yeah.
What's that thing? I haven't actually been, but I know people that have. I think it's called Durdle's Door.
Oh,
That is really cool.
Lake District is absolutely beautiful.
There's also
Lake District is really nice. There's
Okay,
actually a lot
Scotland
to
might
see.
give
there's
that.
Bournemouth. Bournemouth's really nice, especially when it's a hot day. And what is it, Seven Sisters, I think? Is it a lake? It looks amazing from the pictures, but I've never been. Where I have been is Wales.
Is that in Brighton?
I don't think so. I think it's near Bournemouth, but I have been Wales, and honestly, if you go to like one of the Welsh like small towns, the seaside towns, they are amazing.
See, this is it. This is travel. This is like going to the coast. Okay,
No,
it's
not
right
just the
by
coast.
borders.
You can have a city weekend in London if you wanted to.
City weekend as well.
Okay, fine. Go on then.
So
Enlighten us.
I mentioned that I think last week that even if you can't travel as far as Wales or Bournemouth or Brighton, etc., even traveling outside Luton and traveling, or even if you don't live in Luton, traveling maybe to the next nearest town and exploring the cities and looking at their heritage and even just going to a cafe, it's a different experience.
It is, yeah, I
And I
agree.
think it's really important to make use of the, I don't know what
Pfizer's putting you. I guess it's just not Pfizer's cup of tea. She just likes, I don't know, go to Barbados or places.
No, just like
No, so
Okay, Pfizer, go to the Maldives. We'll see you later.
I think we should encourage people to, gain new experiences, however that looks like. I don't think they should
No,
be
of
one size
course.
fit all.
I agree. No, I've been out of town, okay?
Once.
No,
No, so
Cromer is a beautiful place. I'd
I
say.
think it's nice to just get out
Yeah.
of the place that you
That you're
live in
in.
to just calm
Yeah.
your mind. I
whether
guess.
it be the next town, whether it be up north, down south.
Go
out the
visit a distant
coast.
relative or something, someone who lives in the UK.
or
Like, it's
even
nice.
Book like a little getaway. They have so many like different like holiday packages all the time.
You could also
throughout
do
the
like
whole
different
season.
activities, like escape rooms are really popular nowadays.
I went to that.
Or
they
go
seem- Pardon?
Go ape that like
That
Climbing.
tree
Oh,
thing.
High ropes type
Yeah.
of thing.
Also,
They're
I
fun.
just think
Hiking.
Hiking, yeah.
English country roads are, I don't know,
So
for me, I
nice.
think there's something else. And I've been on like a few road trips with my family, not like, well, with family, it's a bit stressful for me. But now that I'm older, like if you have a friend who has a car, or if you have like a brother or sister who has a car, it's really just maybe on the weekend, just take your car, go for a little road trip, and it'll be really fun. You don't even have to go away for the weekend. I mean, you can go drive out, have a picnic somewhere, have a day
Yeah.
out. There's
Day
actually
outs.
a lot to do in English countryside. I know we hate on the UK a lot, and I have to say other countries have better countrysides, but ours isn't too bad.
I feel like ours is
Ours
really
is
nice,
actually
especially
really
when
nice.
there's
Lovely.
a sunset or something
Yeah.
going on. You just smell the air and it's like,
And
wow.
it's not
It's just calming.
It's not
everywhere.
winter yet.
You smell manure.
and it's still autumn. I think we can still take advantage of it and go for walks and stuff. And it's great to just, especially if you live in a town or a city. It's more refreshing to get away and just be one with nature.
But do you know what place I'd recommend
can?
even in Luton? Stockwood Park, the Botanical Gardens. It's actually really nice if you just walk
yeah,
through.
That's true.
And Dunstable Downs.
And Dunstable Downs are
Yeah,
lovely. And if you get a
beautiful.
kite, it's even more fun because
I
That's
think
if you can fly.
I think we just got a comment in from someone. I think it's Waka. And he said, go backpacking from here to Morocco.
from here to Morocco.
Is that possible?
I don't know.
That's unique.
It's not possible. That is not
I'm
possible.
sure it's possible if he's suggested it. So there could be a way. I think even just going by car to Europe.
Oh, yeah,
You
true.
can, yeah.
Oh, he's done it.
That's nice.
Wow.
Do
Backpacking.
you want to call us in and share your experience?
It's true though. Going on holidays, especially in like August time, it's always expensive. So
Very expensive,
I think
of course.
branching out maybe in the UK, whether it be backpacking, whether it be going out, you know, on a train, wherever.
Hiking is
Yeah.
a lot of fun these days as well.
There's so much we can do nearby. I think
I think it's not done.
yeah.
Like, do you know what I mean? When people think of holidays, they always just think out the country. They don't-
Abroad, yeah.
like me.
And also,
They normally
people
think
come
inside the
people
UK.
come here and see things that we've not seen.
But that's what I find fascinating. It's like when I'm in London and I get off the train, I'm like, people actually come here like from far away to
Why
see
do
this
they
place.
come here?
But
you
I
know,
think it's a good thing to
it is
do.
nice.
Yeah.
To,
And he said
you know-
think out of the box, which I agree with. Fair enough.
Yeah, I think we should think out of the
definitely
box with our own, you know, with our own country. We all live here.
Yeah,
We should try
we do.
to, you know, when people, I've had relatives
not?
who come here, relatives who come here and they're like, so what are fun things to do around here? And I'm
you're like, I don't really
I don't know. And it's embarrassing.
Yeah,
They're
it's like
what?
my cousins came and they were like, "Oh yeah, we went to Oxford Street the other day." Like, and I was like, I realised I've never even been Oxford Street.
What?
And
Okay,
it was
I've been
like
to Oxford
I have
Street.
after I joined uni, but
Flex.
before that, like we'd never been even Oxford Street. I was like, it's
Here's one. He
Amazing.
said, Waka said, beach hopping. Go along one shore for a few nights and then go to a different beach along that coast.
Oh,
Each day.
wow.
That's
That's
a
a
good
good
idea.
idea.
As well.
That's
Camping.
quite-
camping is so
creative.
much fun.
Oh,
People
that-
don't
yeah.
realise.
I think you have to be a certain kind of
Oh, sorry.
like,
It's high maintenance over here.
Pitching
Or
up a
stay in a
tent, cooking
travel lodge or,
food.
you know, whatever.
Airbnb.
I feel like
Or get a cabin.
Yeah.
Like those cabins.
But I feel like
Self-catering.
camping is its
Self-
own type of
self-catering.
fun where everyone puts the tent up together and then you cook
Did you go
together in the
camping?
evening.
Depends
Yeah,
who
I
you
really
went
enjoy
with.
camping.
Honestly, I can't think of people who I'd go with.
Anyways, that was an interesting hot topic. I think it's just something to just lighten us before we delve deep into mental health, which ties into today's Suicide Prevention Day as well. So, that's it. That's the hot topic's done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like it kind of ties in though in a way.
I think so. It ties in.
Experiences
Yeah.
and the things that you do really do help your mental health in
And
a
I
way.
think, so we'll put that in with the how we can help people who do suffer
Yeah.
from mental health. So, getting started, remember all those who are listening, tuning in, whether it be on Facebook Live, whether it be on the radio, please do let us know your thoughts, views and opinions. They are more than welcome. Even share your experiences as well, especially to do with mental health. You don't know who you can be helping by sharing your story or your advice. People, I think they can, it's like a virtual shoulder to kind of lean on at the same time.
Yeah, I also want to say that if you do share your experiences, we'll keep that anonymous. We won't mention your name, but I think
Just
it
let
does.
us know.
Yeah,
as
just
well.
let us know that you don't want us to share your name. And I think something personally for me, I struggle to talk about mental health on the radio show, but I realized that it could help someone else because for me personally, when I started in Sister Speak, I was quite timid and I didn't like speaking about mental health because it was something that was a massive part of me and it's still a big massive part of me. But I want to show people that even if you suffer mental health or if you have any anxiety problem, which I specifically suffer, you can do the things that you want to do. You can be ambitious, you can reach all your dreams.
There are ways of overcoming that.
And I want to show people that you're not alone and you still can achieve whatever you want to do.
So first things first, why is it important for us to talk about mental health?
I think, like Mariam said, like it was kind of daunting to talk about, but it's something so personal for everyone. But it's personal, yet we all go through it in some way or at some point to a certain degree. And if we don't talk about it, then there'd be someone out there who thinks that there's something really wrong with them. And when I think when you don't know what is, when you know there's something wrong with you, but you don't know what it is, I think that's the most frustrating and the most scary part of it. It's when you don't know what to do. I think the first thing for me that actually helped was knowing what was going on, like actually putting a label on it almost. I don't know, to a certain extent, we can't always put a label on something and then just call it a day, but it helps to acknowledge what is happening. Like if you, if you broke your toe, it's something that's so small and you think, oh my God, why is it hurting so much? I can't even walk. But then if you went to the doctor and they said you broke your toe, then you're like, oh, okay, now I know what to do. At least I know there's a reason for it.
Yeah.
So if you're feeling down all the time and you have no idea why, it makes you feel worse. It makes you feel angry and frustrated, and then all the bad emotions come out. But then when you finally, before even going to therapy or getting medication or whatever route you're comfortable going down, just knowing what it is just a massive step. I think it's really important to acknowledge that.
So I think not all in all, because we'll come back to Lamisa, Mariam, and anyone else who wants to voice their thoughts and opinions on, why it's important to discuss mental health, the different types of mental health as well, and like what some people would suffer from and how they can overcome it as well. We're going to go into a break for a couple of minutes, and after that, please do join us where we'll be discussing the whole topic. All in all, let us know all your thoughts, opinions. If you want to stay anonymous, if you want to share your experience, please do share your experience, but then let us know at the end if you want to keep it anonymous or if you want to give your name. And yeah, tune in after the break and let us know your thoughts, views and opinions. Assalamu alaikum.
You're listening to an Inspire FM podcast, making available our popular programs from our daily broadcast on Inspire FM.
Assalamu alaikum everyone, and welcome back to Sisters Speak on Inspire 105.1 FM, and you're here with me, Faiza.
Me, Lamisa.
Oh, sorry.
Me, Mariam.
And me, Amina. This is the middle of the show.
Thank you very much. Just before the break, we were just speaking about our topic today of mental health, which ties in very well with today's Suicide Prevention Day. Just before the break, we were also discussing why it's important for us to even talk about mental health, which is very important again. So following on from...
Can I just add quickly? I think something that Amina kind of discussed before the show, but we had our break, was it's really important to know why you're feeling certain things, and I think it really does rationalize it. So the example she gave is when you break your toe and perhaps you sprained a bone and you don't know why, but then you go to the doctors and you find out, okay, this is the reason. I think similarly, it's really important to find out the root cause of your feelings that you're getting, maybe even the physical symptoms that you might get out of a result of mental health. And I think, how she was saying that, just knowing that you have this issue or you're facing this, it helps you to know what steps to take next. And I think that's a really important part of mental health, is understanding how to cope, how to manage, and how to deal with, those symptoms that you're experiencing.
Because I think what ties in well is when we are discussing this as well, and those who are listening, join us, whether it be on the radio, on Inspire FM Live as well. Give us your thoughts, views and opinions. How can they do that?
You can text or WhatsApp us in on 07779 481822. You can also call on 01582 481822. And we mentioned before, since this is quite a heavy topic, if you want to text or WhatsApp us and you want to stay anonymous, just mention that you don't want your name to be mentioned on air, and that's totally fine. And I think it would be great if some of you can tell us about your experiences or your advice, and we can all help each other.
Yeah. So moving on from what you said, did you want to add anything as to why it's important, why mental health is important to talk about? You gave a really good analogy though.
I think so that people actually realise that, say if they're feeling constantly down, or maybe, they're having certain thoughts, they should realise that, maybe I should go seek some help, or maybe I should ask someone about this. It's not just I can shrug it off, because I feel like maybe in the past a lot of people have had the attitude of where it's my problem, I can just shrug it off, or it's not really a big issue, I don't know why I'm feeling like this, I'm just going to continue with my day-to-day life, that type of thing. And then it may escalate afterwards. So I think the point of the matter is that talking about it and also learning from other people's experiences makes you realise that you're not the only person, but not only that it is a real thing, and if you need help, you should ask for it. just like how, you know, I think you guys were saying if there was any sort of physical ailment or illness that you had, you definitely go see a doctor at the first sign of, you know, symptoms or anything like that. In the same way, I think it's important that we sort of normalise it to talk about our feelings, talk about how we're feeling, because a lot of that governs how we live our everyday lives. If you're not in a good mood, then you're not going to be nice to the people around you either, but you yourself are just not going to feel good throughout the day.
Yeah.
And you know, day-to-day life,
Yeah.
that can be very tolling on yourself and, as you guys said, on your body as well.
I think another thing to add is that, you know, mental health and the way you experience it looks different for everyone. So, you know, you might be experiencing, it could be trivial to someone else, but you could be experiencing something in particular that really triggers you, and you might get physical symptoms from it, but maybe someone else who does have anxiety doesn't react the same way. And I think it's really important to understand that, you know, the way you experience pain and the way you experience mental health is very individualized. And I think it's really important to have, I think the most important thing is to have is self-awareness. I think understanding yourself and validating your own feelings, saying that, you know, these things don't define you. You can separate yourself from them. So, you know, if you feel overwhelmed, it doesn't mean you're weak. It doesn't mean, you know, you're anything less. I think it just, it's something that is happening to you, and, you know, you're sick. You need help. You need medical help. You need intervention. And I think it's really important to not undermine yourself, or, you know, we were talking about labels and understanding how to seek the right help, but also understanding that the negative labels that are attributed to mental health, they're not for you. And, you know, it's out of ignorance or, you know, lack of education when people categorize people who suffer mental health as, you know, lazy, or they're crazy, or, you know, all these just negative terms that float about. I think it's really important to know that you're not those things. Like, you're not, it's no way near that. I think it's actually, people who suffer mental health are very, very strong, because, you know, you're doing day-to-day life with this, almost like this extra weight on top of you, and you're carrying that with you every single day, whereas people who don't suffer this, they don't have that weight. So for you, it's that extra strength. And I think, you know, it's just look aftering yourself and making sure that, you know, you get the right help and you take those services. And I think Lemisa will be touching upon those services shortly.
Yeah. I think overall, like, mental health, it's so, like, it's such a huge thing, but it seems to be kind of like pushed away, because sometimes some people don't want to come to accept the fact that, you know, they are suffering. So, because they're so, like, it's unfortunate to say, but they're so busy and caught up with life itself that they just generally don't have time to just sit down for a second and gather their thoughts and gather how they feel and put together everything.
Do you think sorry,
no, it's fine.
Do you think society in a way is changing its look on mental health? Because nowadays you have a lot of organisations, companies, universities, institutions, all those types of things, having counsellors and things like that. Do you think that's sort of helped in a way?
I don't think so. I think, well, maybe I think it's different. For example, because why I'm saying is the whole working thing is because when you see, like, further down, like, for example, I've seen elder people now, because they're so busy, life, kids, work, school, whatever, home, like, they don't have time. They generally just don't have that hour to give, whether it be being caught up with work, whether it be, like, as soon as they get home from work, it's like dealing with kids, dealing with whatever's going on at home. And I honestly, I respect those men and women so much who have all of this on their plate, who, like, have work to deal with, and work is stressful. Come home can be stressful sometimes. Sometimes you just want to go straight to bed, but it's no, you've got kids to deal with, you've got dinner to make, you've got, like, so and so to
other
do.
responsibilities.
And then by that time, it's like, need to go to bed, because you're going to wake up again really early in the morning, do the same thing over and over again. And it's like, when is that time they have to like breathe, you know? And I think that's why maybe in workplaces they can introduce a thing where it's like, you know, mental health. If there is someone who needs to speak to someone, they have like a counsellor that they could go to you know?
Yeah, occupational health. All organisations should have occupational health. But I also think that what Faisal was saying, that, you know, people are so busy day-to-day life. But say if that same person broke their leg, they would 100% go to the doctors and make that hour and take time off. But it's because we haven't normalised it, and we haven't even talked about the significance of mental health and how much it can, you know, impair you to do daily activities, or impair you in the way you, you know, react to things. And I think we need to kind of take, just because physically you can't see mental health, of course there might be other symptoms, but
mean it's not there.
you know, we need to normalize it in a sense that, you know, if someone says they have anxiety, we need to take it very seriously and say, okay, they have anxiety, what can we do about it? What treatment do they need? You know, it's very, I think also is having that conversation with your manager as well. And I know it's difficult because, you know, you don't want, I can understand when people think that if you tell your manager that you have anxiety or you have mental health, they might see you as weak. I worked for 1 year, and my manager was amazing, and he was extremely supportive. In fact, he's the one who was telling me about occupational health. But, you know, for others who, you know, might not have that same experience, I think, you know, just searching your own organisation and looking whether they have occupational health, or even maybe a GP nearby that you can go and get free confidential services, because when you're at work, you can have private meetings and put that on calendar, and no one can obviously ask you about those. So prioritizing your health is really important.
One thing I also want to touch upon is I don't think people realise that how important that is, because they would think, oh, counsellor, oh, money, problems.
You
issues,
can get it
don't
all
have
on the NHS.
It's costly, yeah. That's what some people don't know.
Yeah, and I think what is before I want to touch upon that, I think it's important. I did mention that we're talking about this to help people, but at the same time, it's important to be vocal about this issue for everyone to be educated on it, because not everyone, I mean, 1 in 4 people suffer from a mental health issue. So either you're the one who is suffering with it, or you're the friend of someone who has it, or you're their sister or brother, or, you know, whatever it is. But we're all going to be affected by it in some kind of way, and we can't help anyone if we don't know what to do. And, you know, if you're not educated on something, you would probably be the person
who contributes to it as well,
who is actually hurting them. And you probably are doing it unintentionally, but when you don't know what you're doing or what you're dealing with, then it's, you know, it doesn't really end well. And I think that's why it's important, like, for your colleagues they don't need to know your issues, but I think just to be aware of certain things is just something that, it's just, I feel like it, as a human, it's an important thing to be aware of.
I think at times it's most often, it's better when the people around you are perhaps more tuned in on your life instead of always going to a counsellor. Of course, you need to seek help when necessary. But if I speak honestly, knowing that there's a counsellor, you know, perhaps in my institution or in my university, doesn't necessarily mean that I'm going to go visit them. Because with the type of person I am, I'm not a type of person who would particularly want to go and talk about my problems to someone I've never met before. I find it a lot easier to talk to people who already know who I am, the type of person that I am, that type of thing. So I feel, yes, of course, it is important to have those services available for those who need them. But for the people who perhaps aren't as open or aren't willing to go to those places, you know, those people that are surrounding them, if they know a lot more about mental health and build a lot more connections that way, it would be easier for those people to open up and talk about the issues that they're facing.
And it can start from the smallest things, you know, mental health problems. Like, it could be from stressing about home, stressing about a job, stressing about children, to money issues. And it's nothing, like, it can start from the smallest things, is what I'm trying to say. You know, it's not because there's something wrong with you. Nothing's wrong, as in, like, you know, people, like, they would, for example, they would say, oh, you know, you might have a mental health problem, but nothing's wrong with me. It's nothing to be wrong about.
Ashamed about,
And you shouldn't feel embarrassed or even ashamed to even say that you have a problem. It's fine. These things happen. You're allowed to feel sad. You're allowed to feel, you know, overwhelmed. You're allowed to feel like full of anxiety and pressure, like it's nothing to be ashamed of. You know, these things happen. You know, it's life. Everyone goes through ups and downs, and
even if you're not suffering from mental health issues, everyone
like,
will have those periods.
Fluctuations of it,
Yeah,
and it's nothing to hide.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that acknowledging your emotions is an important thing to do. Like saying that you're not upset about something or you're not angry is just letting those you're just letting that emotion stay for longer than it should, and it bubbles up and it becomes a lot worse than it was at the beginning. And I think acknowledging it is really important. And also I wanted to talk about what you can do to help yourself. And I know that people get really mixed up between counselling and therapy, and I'm not like an expert. I don't know much about this, and I haven't, you know, like I don't really know properly, but I know that there's a difference. And you know, if you go and seek professional help, you can find out what will actually help you. And I think if you do suffer from anxiety or depression, I think therapy will therapy is a way to like rewire your brain.
Yes, cognitive behavior therapy.
Yeah,
that's what it's called.
cognitive behavioral therapy. It's just a way to, you know, look at your life in a different way and look at it in a positive way, like just flipping your thoughts the other way around. And I think the way you can get it is you can go to your GP and go to them, talk about it to your GP, and I think that will help you.
I think
That's
something
helpful.
that
1 second. I just want to say something, because you were saying how they can get help, right? So someone commented saying, "Salam sisters, how are you? Walaikum salam." He said, please don't say, oh no, okay. "I have an illness that is unknown. I can't walk like a normal person, but I never gave up working." Yeah. In regards to today's show,
I think that's quite well done, mashallah.
Yeah.
Like the persistence obviously really helps, and I think I can sort of relate to that because, you know, when I was really, really sick, it was undiagnosed. Like there wasn't really a name of why I was experiencing certain things, and my symptoms were extremely, extremely physical, to the point that, you know, even I was going to be transferred to Great Ormond Street Hospital. Is very, very physical. So, you know, it's difficult when, you know, you're experiencing such physical symptoms, or you're experiencing such any kind of symptoms, and it's for a prolonged time, and there's no medical term, or they can't figure out what's going on. I know, I can understand how hard it is, and you just want to know what's going on. But, you know, it's, you know, the person mentioned that he is working. Did he say? Yeah. You know, it's that persistence and knowing, and I think being hopeful as well. I think as Muslims we have to be hopeful and know
have
that
faith.
You know, have faith and being hopeful in Allah that He will help you, and, you know, you're not alone. And even there's a Quran ayat that, you know, Allah created us weak, and so He will help us in difficulties. That's an actual Quran ayah. So, you know that, you know, you're created this way, but Allah is there to facilitate you and to help you. You know, and don't stop, you know, searching for medical help, or don't stop trying to help yourself. Another thing I wanted to mention, so Amina was talking about CBT and counselling. Recently I saw news on how GPs are going to prescribe not medical. Of course, if someone has hormonal imbalance and they need actual medication, if they're going to need medication, that's going to be there, but they're going to prescribe plants to people who suffer mental health. So they will tell you, say for example, I go to the GP and I say I have anxiety, and, you know, I don't don't necessarily need the medication, and they say you can have therapy, CBT, etc., etc. They will give me a pot of like a plant, and they'll tell me to nurture it from a seed, because what the doctors are saying and the research is suggesting that when you use all your 5 senses and you use them to grow that plant, it really helps your mental health. So for example, if you're growing lavender, you can smell the lavender, you're feeling the soil, you're looking at the color, so it's engaging all your senses, and you're taking time to repeat that behavior, because every single day you're going to have to look after this plant. I think that's something that's really quite positive coming out from.
It's something to like be hopeful towards. And
I think it's a really good alternative. I don't know, I'm not a medic. We do have a medic, aspiring medic, who's studying medicine, mashallah. But I think that's a really I think that's a really good alternative than just waiting. Because I understand like cognitive behavior therapy and counselling, the waiting lists are quite long,
and that can put people off as well.
Yeah, that's quite long. So that could be that's quite a good way to kind of start off with your thingy treatment.
Yeah. How else would you guys advise people who do suffer from mental health, whether it be your own personal experiences? You're welcome to share your advice.
I think we did mention that the waiting lists are really long, and it can be like sometimes it would be 2 months. Like sometimes you think 2 months is nothing, but when you're really struggling, it takes, of course, it's like, oh my god, I feel like I need this now. But in that time, or if you don't want to seek help yet, I think it's really important to have, I mentioned this before, I think we all mentioned that it's important to have someone to talk to, and, have someone there that you can help, that can help you go through your thoughts, like talk about it, and maybe by the end of the conversation you think, maybe some of the things I'm thinking are not rational, or not, maybe I don't need to be thinking that or feeling this way, and you can try to figure out together how to avoid that. Because I've had conversations like this myself where I'm like, I'm feeling this way and I know it's not normal, but I'm still feeling it. Do you know what I mean? It's really easier said than done. I mean, some people just tell you to get over it, and I would advise people that is like the worst words that you can say. I mean, that it's not what's the word? It's not helpful. It's really dismissive, and the question is how to get over it. I mean, we all want to, but it's not that simple. You're not just like, what, I will, and then you're like running through a field of flowers. It's not like that. You need to work on it, and I think finding a hobby, finding something to do, like you mentioned,
like the plant thing, that's helpful.
Like gardening, I think I don't do it much, but when I have, it's really humbling. Like just putting your hands in the soil, it's really humbling, and you get to see this thing grow. And it doesn't have to be gardening, but that's one thing that is really it's helpful. It's helpful. It's stimulating. I think finding a hobby that is really stimulating for you. If you like certain sports,
like join them.
Yeah, like anything. Get into it. I think, did we speak about this last week? I think we talked about it at some point. But going for walks is great.
I think during our podcast we talked about it.
Yeah, a little thing from we did do a podcast. But anyway, like going for a walk. If you enjoy the gym, then join the gym.
So these aspects of self-care, really.
Yeah.
So you're finding things in terms of doing activities to just take
because
mind
exactly, like your mind is so, it's literally so busy up there, like it's like
but things
chaos.
that you enjoy doing and things that will calm you down, because often if you do an activity, it might come up in your head. I don't know, some people may have a mental schedule, and it might just be another thing that you have to add to your schedule. It's important that it's something that doesn't stress you out, something that you genuinely enjoy and you feel relaxed by it.
Try something that you haven't done before. You'll never know.
But even if it's not a thing, even if it's taking, 20 minutes to have a nap in the day that you need, or if you want to relax, do something, cook maybe for yourself.
Or make a nice cup of tea, even just boiling the tea.
Or even
is great.
Sit down and talk to your friend or your sister or your brother or your family member.
Yeah.
Just maybe go to coffee shop, or go to your bedroom, or go to their house, or
do you know what, a change of environment is
definitely
great. I think when you like if you need to talk to someone, recently I met up with one of my friends and we were both kind of going through it, and we were like planning, we were like, let's go for a picnic, and then we were like, we both didn't know what was happening, but we were both like too like overwhelmed to even make a picnic, and then we just literally were in town kind of like half in our pajamas, you can't tell these days. And we were just in Costa, and it was great.
That was
just
me
a change of environment. Like if you need to be out of the house, then just go somewhere simple, like, or even go to your friend's house. I mean, just do something that will distract you, that will stimulate your mind.
And that's why traveling is so good.
After work, literally, I had, you know what work's like, and you're anxiety ridden. Literally, I was like, that's it. After work, I'm going to that jump arena. I don't know what it is. A trampoline park. Just jump things.
Let it all out.
Literally anxiety out.
Sometimes you need to do something spontaneous like that, out of the blue.
Out of your routine, out of your
so you can get rid of all of that negative energy and then just come back with positive stuff.
Numbers.
So there are a lot of charities and organisations available to help people. You know, when you were saying a lot of people think about counselling, they think money straight away. And that's something that people may not have, you know, to spend on this. But there are a lot of charity organisations and things like that actually providing free services. And if you go to the NHS website, you can find they're all sort of categorised in, like, say, if you're a child and you're, you know, suffering from anxiety or maybe other mental health issues, they're all sort of listed. But here are a few. So there is a charity called Anxiety UK. Their phone number is 03444 775 774. They're open Monday to Friday from 9:30am to 5:30am. And they're a charity basically providing support if you've been diagnosed with an anxiety condition.
9:30am to 5:30am.
So 5:30pm, sorry. Did I say AM?
I was going to say,
I'm so sorry about that. But so they basically provide support if you have an anxiety condition. There's also the Mental Health Foundation. So they also provide information and support for anyone with mental health problems or learning disabilities. So theirs obviously spans quite a big spectrum. And their website is www.mentalhealth.org.uk. There's another charity called No Panic. So they're a voluntary charity offering support for sufferers of panic attacks and obsessive compulsive disorder, so that's OCD, and that offers a course to help overcome your phobia or OCD. So the number is 0844 967 4848, and that's daily 10am to 10pm. So there are, and obviously if you have other conditions, you can have a look at the NHS website or get in contact with your GP is probably the best advice.
Yeah, there's a whole range of things that come under mental health, and I think you're able to find all of them on the NHS website.
Most of them.
The first thing is just stepping out and actually talking about it, accepting the fact that, you know, something's wrong. It's okay that something's wrong.
Acknowledging it.
Yeah. So hopefully we have helped you today somewhat, somehow, through our experiences.
Help advance the discussion of it,
through our advice. And also, hopefully, those numbers are helpful too. Thank you so much for all your thoughts and opinions today. Join us next week, inshallah, 6 to 7. Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you for listening to our podcast. Why not tune in to our live stream at inspirefm.org and follow and subscribe to our social media platforms at Inspire FM Luton.